UNC lost to Kentucky, but that felt like playoff basketball, right? It felt like two of the best teams in the country going back and forth, and very much a game that I believe North Carolina was in the locker room after the game saying, can we get him again? What is it? Where can we? Let's get the brackets out. Let's see. Are they in our region? Because I want to run it back.
It felt like a Sweet 16 game.
It really did. R.J. Davis is playing like an All-American. Right, I've talked about this meat grinder part of the schedule that North Carolina is on. They have another top 10 matchup coming up here in the not too distant future, or top 15 match against Oklahoma, I believe. But 4 of their last 5 games have been against ranked opponents. He has scored at least 26 points in all of those games. And I sometimes I catch myself and everyone in media doing it, where it's like, out of the last 5 games, he scored at least 26 points in all of them. And you pick 5 because 6 games ago he scored 2. And it's like, that's a convenient part to – no, before that stretch started, he scored 23 against Villanova. So it's he has been filling it up, right, against great competition. And he's literally making a case, if he can keep up this style of play, this style of streaky but dominant scoring, he'll be an All-American conversation. He'll be in the All-American conversation at the end of this year. Now, the rest of the game, the rest of the UNC roster, I think it was a very interesting kind of a production, right? Cormac Ryan showed up, knocking down threes. That's his role, right? 4 threes, 20 points, shot a high percentage, kept the spacing. That's what he's supposed to do for North Carolina.
Broke his slump that he was going through.
Exactly. And anyone that's ever played any sport knows that feeling, like the one goes through and you're like, oh, that felt different. That didn't feel like I struggled as hard as I had to struggle to get buckets last week. And then it's just gumdrops and rainbows from that point on. You're just having a good time. So Cormac Ryan showed up. Harrison Ingram had his moments as a do-it-all player. He's kind of he's going to get you a handful of assists, handful of rebounds, double-digit points in most games, and he did just that. And then there's the interesting. This is the most interesting. I think it was Armando Bacot that probably needed to play better to win that game. And like the whatever the basketball equivalent of heavy lies the crown. When you're Armando Bacot and you're the guy that gets 17 and 13, you have to get your 17 and 13, or else we're going to look at you and say it might have been that guy that needs to play better. 9 and 6, 31 minutes, 4 personal fouls. Over the last 2 decades you've been in Chapel Hill, however long, sometimes it feels like it, right? Over the last 5 years he's been in Chapel Hill. He's established a higher baseline than that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of turnovers too.
It was sloppy. This isn't the case because we've seen him do it so many times, but it looked like he didn't have a plan when he was getting doubled, right? A few times, catch, spin baseline, got the bucket, and it's like, okay, you have to either attack quickly before the double can get there, or you better have a plan to pass out of the double. Felt like he was just a little hesitant. And that's so not him, right? He's Mr. Consistent. He's Mr. Hey, I had a bad game and I got 14 and 12. Like that's what he is. So I actually, ready for the spin zone coming your way? I actually like that for UNC. Because I know Armando Bacot's going to get it going, right? Like if they play again, I'm not going to go, well, they figured him out. Like no, he's played well enough against enough good teams that I'm confident in him. It's I have this argument all the time in sports, right? Like, do you remember actually perfect example at the beginning of the year, the Bengals were really struggling, and Joe Burrow just didn't look like himself. And everyone was worried. And I'm going, no. You don't get worried if Joe Burrow's struggling because Joe Burrow's going to be a good, like, what do you think? He forgot how to read a defense? It was the calf. And it's like, Joe Burrow's going to figure it out. Now, if like your offensive line who's full of unproven players is struggling, then I worry because I'm going like, wait a second, I'm not 100% confident these guys are going to figure it out, right? So if North Carolina, and we've seen them at times have this setup where R.J. Davis, Harrison Ingram, Armando Bacot play well, and they still struggle because kind of everybody else doesn't get it going, that's more concerning to me than if Armando Bacot has an off game. Because everybody has them, right? If he has a bad game 1 out of every 15, I'm not going to throw my arms in the air and yell the sky is falling. So against Kentucky, and by the way, no discrediting Kentucky, they did really get, like, part of Armando Bacot's struggles were what Kentucky was doing to him down low. And they were applying the pressure, and they were being physical. And as I mentioned, they were sending double teams, and they were scrambling everyone else to make sure that their rotations were right. Like, give Kentucky credit. But I have to imagine if they played another half, right? If it went to OT, Bacot was going to figure it out at some point. And I'm sure he is the chief amongst the Tar Heels saying, I hope we get them again. Because he wants to prove that, that's not his game. He's better than that. Then the last point I want to make about this game is I do want to give Hubert Davis credit. On Friday, I said this game was a Hubert Davis game because they had, 11 days off between games? Like, how ready is your team to play from the opening tip?
Yeah.
What kind of scouting report, game plan have you put together for a team that you've gotten more days to kind of dive into the film than you're used to getting? And even though they didn't come out with the win, and we don't believe in moral victories, or at least I don't, there are losses that are worse than others. I think that one was a good showing by Coach Davis and the crew. Got to win it, right? Got to win it. But it was a good showing other than that.